Hey, Soul Warriors. This is Jessica Noel, and I'm coming at you with episode 8 of my podcast, Uncovering Your Authentic Soulful Self. And today, in episode 8, we're going to be talking about spiritual guidance, confidence and strength energetically, avoiding bypass, surrender, and patience. So let's start today with taking a couple of deep breaths together, relaxing into this moment, really opening not only your mind and your ears, but your heart as well, so you can take in this information. So everybody close your eyes, just take a moment, take a nice deep breath, inhale all the air out. See if you can just watch the breath, relax your body. Drop the energy from the mind, the thinking mind, the doing mind, and bring it down into the heart center, opening the heart center. Feeling the connection top of your head to heart center. Breathe in and out a couple times through the heart. Okay, good. So let's begin. So the first thing that I want to talk about is spiritual guidance. So what does that look like when you are being guided to do something? How does that feel? Can you miss it? What does it look like? I want to talk to you about the fear that a lot of people have that I've seen over the years, the fear of missing it. What if I miss the guidance? What if I receive some information and I don't catch it? I don't understand that that's what it is. And then I keep moving forward and now I've missed something. That's not how it works. I'm here to tell you. So at first, it starts typically as a gentle urging. So keep in mind that yes, we are all patterned differently. We have different designs. So some of the spiritual guidance might look different from one person to another. But overall, the overall pattern that I have seen in my experience is that it starts as a gentle urging. There's never a time where it's aggressive or negative or angry or makes you feel bad. It's a gentle urging. Sometimes there's a directness to it, but typically it's just gentle and it's, hey, do this. And then if you don't do it, it'll come again. Hey, remember, do this, do this. So it's gentle and there's an urging about it and it comes again and it comes again. It often can come in different forms, right? It might be a thought that you have, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's different than a mental thought, right? It's a thought that you have, but it feels different than a mental thought. It feels there's some energy about it that's different. So if you pay attention and you use your awareness, I feel like you'll be able to discern that pretty easily just by bringing awareness to it. And it will repeat itself. So again, it will come in maybe different ways, but it might be a recurring thought over and over again that's saying the same thing. It's going to get more frequent and more constant, the urge to do it, the message, until you finally do it, if this is true guidance. It will not be something that you can miss. It will keep coming and coming and coming, and it will increase in frequency and urgency until you finally do that. And that's what happened for me with this podcast. I kept getting the message, you need to do a podcast, you need to start doing this, you need to get out there, you need to talk about these things. And okay, I will. Yes, I agree with that. I understand that. I'll follow that. And it kept coming again. Okay, yes, I will do that. And again and again. And then it started coming every day and every day and every day. And finally I'm like, okay, I want to do this. So sometimes you follow your guidance to stop having that experience of being told the same thing over and over and over again. Good. It will feel in alignment with things. It will feel right. There will be resonance. But our lives can be busy, right? So sometimes there's different reasons why we might not be able to follow it in the moment. And it will keep coming again and again, gentle urging with persistency. I wanted to also mention to you today, How is it that I decide what to talk about during these episodes? Where does that idea come from? So the idea does not come from my mind, my mental desire to talk about this or that. Typically, what happens for me is as the day approaches, and it's usually a Sunday, the day approaches that I'm going to be doing an episode, all of the information about what the episode needs to be with just starts pouring through. And this is the similar thing that always happened to me before my groups and events. I would often not know what I was going to talk about until right before that, or maybe the day before. It just depended. And so then it would come, it shows up, it always shows up. And usually there's examples that connect from my life or from something that crosses my path that will connect to the subject that all come together and merge together. So this information is, yes, it's good information for you to move forward with and for some of you to be reminded of, but it's also guided information that's specific to the people that are going to be listening to this. Some of it might not really resonate with you. There might be a couple of things that I'm going to talk about, and that might not be specifically about you, but for those of you who it is about, I often get messages from you that was directly speaking to me, and so on and so forth. So it's always resonant for most of it's going to be resonant for everybody. Some of it is very specific. So that is talking to a specific person that needs that message. I want you to understand that this is guided information. It's not just me, it's guided and it's specifically for you. And there's also frequency that's coming through. And the frequency that's coming through can often affect the equipment, the electronic equipment. So I have tried a number of things to make the sound quality better for you guys, make the video better for you guys. And so far, there has been a few things that have made it worse. So we're not going to do those anymore. And there's been some things that just haven't really been very helpful. So I am going to try one or two more things with some professional equipment and so on. The last time I tried professional equipment, it made it far worse. So I'm going to try a couple of new things and we'll see if it can get better. But I want to say that the frequency, the vibration that you carry and the vibration that's coming through at any given time affects electronics. And many of you already know that. Funny story is that a friend of mine and we actually cannot stand together and use our telephones. It immediately goes to 0 bars. So we cannot do anything electronic when we're together. And so individually, like her house is kind of like a dead zone, even though she has Wi-Fi. Same with me, it's very low capability. It goes in and out and things like that. And same thing with our cell phones. It always is being affected all the time. So for those of you who are moving up and down in frequency, you've probably noticed that as well. So, and if you have noticed it and haven't put it together, that might be what it is. Okay. So a couple people that are in a high vibration that come together, it's going to amplify that as well. So I'll do my best, but understand that there's a couple factors happening here, and hopefully you can get the information, fairly clearly that I'm relaying to you. So I want to talk about standing in your power and really carrying the energy that you're wanting to project to others, being aware that that is what you're doing. You are carrying the energy in your field with your beliefs and your emotions, your feelings at that given time. You're carrying that, and that's what others are picking up on. Most people are not aware that they're reading energy and they're picking up on the energy that's in the person's field, and they're responding to them accordingly. But it's a real phenomenon. It's happening all the time. We're constantly receiving information from each other in our fields, and it definitely affects the dynamics and how we react to one another and how we respond to one another, and even the level of attractiveness that you might find towards a specific person. I want to give you two interesting examples of that. One of them was through a client conversation. She was talking to me about how, she had gained like 25 pounds, I think she said. And she used to have a lot of attention from men. So she would have lots and lots of attention, and there'd be a lot of flirting and everything during that time period. Well, since then she's gained about 25 pounds, and she noticed a difference with that she has a lot less attention. Well, in recent times, she went through a pretty big transformation energetically and through her own internal process of loving herself more, of starting to feel more connected with her body and appreciative of her body and love for her body, rather than like disliking the weight that she was carrying. She started to really change the way that she felt about that, and she had changed in many other ways. So therefore, she's projecting what? Confidence, self-love, attractiveness, because she's finding herself attractive regardless that, irregardless that she's gained, the 25 pounds. It doesn't matter. She's feeling this way. And so she talked about the story of how she went to this place in this new energy, and she had far more people flirting with her than she did when she was 25 pounds less. So it's just an example, as we process through it, it's just an example of she was carrying a very different energy in her field. And all of these people that found her attractive, they were responding to that. They weren't responding as much to her physical body. They were responding more to the energy that she was carrying. Okay. So that's a really good example of how does this work? We're projecting confidence, we're projecting insecurity, we're projecting all of the different things depending on where we're at emotionally, energetically, and on our path. So that matters actually a lot more than the physical reality. I want to give another example of this I find it to be a funny example. So I'm meditating. I don't want to go into all the details of what was happening in that somewhere else in a different dimension. So I realize what time it is. Oh, shoot, I have to go pick up my son. So I want to also say that there's something that we call, me and some of my friends, we call it spirit hot and spirit cold. So energetically, sometimes we get hot and cold when the environment actually doesn't change, when we're dealing with different frequencies, maybe in meditation, during energy healing, it's just coming through the room, whatever it is, we call it spirit hot, spirit cold. So the temperature might not be cold at all, but we might get really, really cold because of the frequency we're dealing with. So I was spirit cold that day, and it was in the summer. This is just a few weeks ago. So I'm spirit cold. So what do? I put on some, Christmas fleece pajamas, naturally. And this t-shirt I've had for like 20 years. So it's a Ganesh t-shirt. And so here I am, and I got this weird headband in. I just like done some skincare stuff, and all mismatched. And I've got my Christmas pajamas on. Oh shoot, I gotta go pick up my son is what comes to my mind. Okay, let me go do that. There's not really time to do anything. I'm coming out of this other place. So I kind of like stumble outside and I'm walking and I look down. Oh my gosh. Okay. So here I am in this outfit and I'm going in public, and here we are. So that's what I do, right? I'm like, well, I know how this works. I'm carrying the confidence in my field. So I'm going to claim this and I'm going to wear it well. And that's just what I did. And you know what? Not one person looked at me sideways. I mean, and I looked really weird. and it was also the summer, right? And I'm in fleece Christmas pajamas. So it was a very strange sight. And I'm in public and no one even so much as gave me a second glance. And so I'm carrying a different energy in my field. Like, hey, this is normal. This is natural. This makes sense. And they're responding more to that than my actual appearance. So just a funny story to give you an example of how the energetics of things can impact the way people are responding. Alongside this, there's something that's different, but I feel like it kind of connects. So some people, I was just recently at a Kriya meditation event, and I have a spiritual teacher, a guru, spiritual teacher that's the realized master of this lineage. And somebody asked, there was like a question and answer program during this retreat. And somebody asked, about black magic. What about black magic? And this person kind of was describing that they felt like they had some issue with that. And the response of my teacher was that he had never actually encountered any black magic. And he began, and he did not go into much of an explanation. All he said was, don't be weak, be strong, and you won't have any problems. Okay, so I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different things in this type of realm as part of my learning and my transformation process and ways that I can help others. And so I would elaborate on that naturally because that's what I do and that's what I'm supposed to do. My elaboration on black magic and on these types of things is that the mind is very powerful. It also relates to the energy that we carry in our field. We have to carry a strong, confident energy, right? So if you don't feel strong and confident, needs to be some transformation and healing work until that you do. And the mind is very strong. So whatever the mind is believing, I talk a lot about beliefs in the mind because it's very, very powerful. So whatever your mind is believing, whatever you're feeling is true, you're going to have that experience and you're going to create that reality to at least a certain extent. Okay. And if you don't believe those things are true, or if you look at them and create them to be small and insignificant and not a big deal, not very powerful, that is then what you can experience, right? So the way that something like magic, any type of magic, black magic, any of that, it works at the mental level. Okay. So it does actually, it is real in the sense that you can be influenced by something like that, but it's influenced at the mental level if you don't have a strong and powerful mind and energy field. That's the only time that that could be affected. And if you believe in it, if you believe that you might be or are being influenced by that, right? So those are the factors that can make that a reality for you. And so in a sense, it's real because it can happen, but in another sense, it's not real at all. It's a projection of your mind. It's an influence. It's a manipulation that you're susceptible to. So the solution is strength, power, wisdom, and understanding that these things are simply at the mental level. And there's so much more power when you move beyond the mind, right? There's a spiritual level, and that has so much more power, and you're moving beyond the mind. So there's no need to do anything other than change the way that you're viewing the situation, your perspective, your belief, make yourself far bigger than it. Confidence, empowerment, strength. If you want more info on that, we can always talk about that individually. You can message me. But for now, I wanted to just explain to you about influence and manipulation. It's only if you allow it. It's only at the mental level. Okay. Next, I want to talk about, are you projecting a facade? Are you bypassing certain things? So sometimes it's about, you're not wanting, everyone to see all parts of you. You're wanting to discern wisely who gets to see all of these different parts of you. Are you wanting to have a small inner circle, that those are the people that get to see these different parts of you, these different sides of you? Or are you wanting to be completely authentic and out there so everyone sees, pretty much all parts of you? That's fine. But for some people, it's not so much a facade. They just want to show only certain people all the different facets of a person. So yes, there's a difference between discerning who you want to see all parts of you, and are you putting up a facade, a fake exterior in general for pretty much everybody. And then under the surface, there's all these other things going on that you're not really acknowledging or addressing, and you're not showing to anybody. So that is not being authentic, right? And if the reason for doing that is because you feel like these things aren't acceptable, or you don't want to show people that because it's like your darker side, or, there's like negative emotions there, and you want to project this idea that you're all spiritual and you're this and you're that. Okay, well, what it means is that it's time to heal some of those things. If you're not comfortable with them and you don't feel like those are in alignment with who you want to be, then it's time to look at those and heal those. It's about humility. Finding, even if it's just you're finding one person to discuss this with. Yes, I have this in me. I have this, anger. I have this agitation, or, some of these toxic behaviors, or some of these self-destructive behaviors. Finding a way to work with somebody, or in some type of way, you're finding healing for those parts of you that you are trying to hide. That is also a form of bypass, right? When we're putting up the certain facade for the outside world, and then under the surface, we have all these other things going on. And so we're trying to just pretend that's not there. And we're just going to go up here, and we're going to be, pretend that we're spiritual, and we're, this and that. And really, we're not addressing all of these other things that are screaming out. A lot of times they're screaming out to be healed. And so there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be worried about. We all have wounds. We all have things that we do that are not really serving us. And we all have patterns. And so it's just about, let's get honest and see what are those, and find ways to heal those and address those. Okay, so I want to talk to you about shortcuts. So we just spoke about bypass. And so now I want to talk about shortcuts. There actually are shortcuts to moving forward on this path that are shortcuts in a really positive way. And it's not that you're bypassing things. One of the shortcut we've already talked about in one of the first episodes, where we talked about overcoming obstacles. That shortcut is you're getting the lesson sooner. The faster that you get the lesson and pull from the experience the highest wisdom that you're meant to learn, the faster you can move through it, right? So the longer it takes you, the longer this process is going to go and the harder it could be on you because you're in suffering, low vibration emotions for longer. So get the lesson sooner is one shortcut. And I want to say about that, when you're trying to get the lesson sooner and you're working with that, understand that part of this process could be going through a variety of emotions. That might be part of the process to that highest wisdom. Let me give an example. So if let's say that the highest wisdom that you're meant to gain from, let's say in a relationship, because that's pretty common. Let's say that, oh boy, that's the highest teaching. Okay, so the highest teaching would probably be unconditional love. And that's what wants to come through right now. Unconditional love. Along the way to finding a way to unconditionally love your partner, or often it is the person that is no longer your partner as you're healing. Sometimes we are guided. A lot of us are not, but some of us are guided to, we got to get this learning of unconditional love because that's going to serve us in our life, but it also might be that it's something that we're going to be able to teach then to others. So we have to get the lesson ourselves first, integrate it, and then share. So let's talk through unconditional love. The process to moving towards unconditional love isn't like, oh, okay, now I love unconditional. I love all parts of them. That's not how it works. I've never seen it work that way. Maybe it's possible. I know it's possible because miracles are possible. But often what that looks like is going through a series of emotions, and that might look like I'm putting up heart walls. That person is bad. So you're blaming that person. They're bad. They're mean. They don't see me. They're an idiot. They're this, they're that. You know it. You know that you've thought those things or said those things. So you're blaming the person. You're putting up walls. Okay, I'm just going to turn this to anger. I hate this person. Or maybe you're processing real things like, yeah, that made me angry. That made me feel really sad that when they did these things. And so it might be that you're directing it in general at them, or it might be that you're thinking through all the different things that happen in the context of that relationship, and it's bringing up all those emotions. So understanding that the path to the highest wisdom, and in this case, we're talking about unconditional love, might have a series, a grouping of different emotions that you have to pass through. And then as you pass through those, then it's like, okay, what's the highest truth here? I just processed all those feelings. I've learned that, maybe you've learned things like, wow, I put up with all of these different things from this person because I felt worthy of only that. I didn't realize that I deserved to be treated in all of these other ways that were loving and kind and supportive and caring. I didn't realize I deserved an equal partner. Maybe that's what it comes down to, right? So there are certain things you might learn and on your path to unconditional love about yourself. Why did you go through this experience? What did it bring up in you? What wounds need healed there? And then you might have emotions for the person until finally you break through. And that just happens naturally. You can't force that. Break through into, okay, I love all parts of me and I love all parts of them. And, maybe that means that you'll get back together. Maybe that means that you have to unconditionally love them from a distance. There are some people, we've talked before about this, their behavior patterns are such, maybe it's the lying, deceit behavioral pattern. They may have some toxic patterns that are harmful to others. When I say toxic, I mean harmful to others. So if the person that you are not in a relationship with anymore has those and they still have those, then the solution is going to be loving them unconditionally, but from a distance, because you can't put yourself in harm's way, right? They're still in that place, but you can still love all parts of those because, again, these types of patterns that are toxic, that are harmful to others, that involve lying and deceit often, that's pain. It's a specific behavioral pattern that's been learned as compensation for deep pain and often low self-worth. Next, I want to talk a little bit more about an example in the context of relationships. So there's sort of two sides of the spectrum, right? We've got the chasing side, and then we've got the avoidance side. So we're talking about, like, in relationships, one person often is chasing the other, coming, and the other is avoiding or moving away from the other person. And so there's not any kind of harmony. There's not a coming together. This can happen in the context of a marriage, of a committed relationship where the people are actually together. This can happen in a relationship where there's an attraction, but it has not yet become a union. It's really important if you're the chaser to stop chasing. Say it again. It's really important if you're the chaser to stop chasing. Because look, you're the chaser right here. Here's the other person. You're going, coming at them. You're saying all these things. You're trying to make things a certain way, and they have to back up because you're coming. They have to back up. So here we are. Stop. Just stop chasing. And then eventually, maybe this person will stay where they are. Maybe they don't want to come towards you. Maybe that's not what's supposed to happen. But this gives you a chance for that to take place. So if you want to know, is this person ever going to come to me? Is this ever going to work out? Just stop chasing. And then maybe they will. Maybe they will start to, hey, where'd she go? She's usually like chasing me. What's going on? Or he. And so then they might start coming towards you because they're not constantly getting that energy where you're going. So first things first, stop chasing if that's what you're doing. Next thing is, what's chasing about? Where does that come from? Why are you doing that? Don't you deserve to have an equal partner? Do you deserve to have an equal givership and the other person's just sort of backing away and you're running after them? Is that the type of dynamic and relationship that you want? I think when it's put in those terms, we can start to see it differently because that's really what's happening, right? You're accepting very little from that person. You're chasing after them to try to meet your needs. So maybe it's this, maybe you're chasing after them. Hey, I'm amazing. I need you to see that. What, like, look at me, I'm amazing. Or maybe you're chasing after that. Hear me, understand me, hear me, understand me. And all they're feeling is like the chasing energy. And they're like, I don't know what this is. And I don't want to get out of here. So what is that about for you, right? So why are you chasing? You want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be valued. You can't force somebody to come naturally. So let's intensify things a little bit further. What if this is a soul connection and that's why you went on chasing? Okay, so there's all kinds of information out there about like twin flames and soulmates and karmic relationships and all these types of things. And there's a runner and there's a chaser. Well, guess what? In a lot of relationships, whatever you want to characterize them as, whether they're that type or not, there's a runner and a chaser. There's usually someone pursuing and someone sort of backing away, or at least at certain points. And so if this is a soul connection, that makes it a lot more intense. You really want that. You're wanting the other person to acknowledge, hey, don't you feel what this is? Don't you see what this is? Well, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't realize that you're their twin or you're their soulmate. If that's, if that's what you've decided and you feel it strongly, that's your guidance. You feel this is my twin, this is my soulmate. You felt some sort of energetic intensity, recognition, whatever that is, you feel that way. And maybe they don't feel that way. Maybe they don't see it, and if you felt like a mutual thing, it might just be that they don't really get what this is. And it's kind of scaring them. Maybe it's too intense for them. Maybe they're backing away because they just fell in love at first sight. And they're like, what the heck am I supposed to do about this? Or whatever it is, it might be overwhelming. Maybe they have all kinds of heartache from the past they have to work through first before they can really come to you. Maybe you're chasing energy because you're excited and you're wanting to experience what you feel. You might be feeling an intuition of what this could be, and maybe that's, what's driving your behavior. But you have to stop. You have to stop chasing and you have to allow this to unfold. And you can't be like contacting them and saying all of these, oh, we're this and we're that. It's more like, let it be natural. They might need to really come to this conclusion on their own. And maybe one of these things is true. Maybe they're behaving hot or cold or whatever's going on. Okay. So we don't really need to think about any of that. What you need to think about is putting yourself first, because the reason why you're chasing is because you're not putting yourself first. It's harder to do that when there's a really strong connection and you can feel it and you got all this intuition about it. That adds a whole another layer of intensity. You got to do it. You come first. You can't let somebody, their, response to a situation, their response to you to take you down, to put you in your low vibration emotions. You got to bring yourself back up and put yourself as number one, because you are number one and you need to start focusing on you. So take the focus off of them and what they're doing, how they're feeling, what they're thinking, what might be going on. No, don't do any of that. All right, here we go. I'm focusing on me. I'm letting them go. Sometimes you can move to unconditional love with that. Can you find a way to love this person regardless if they choose you or not? Like maybe you do have some kind of recollection of other life, soul experiences, maybe other lifetimes, whatever you want to frame that as. But maybe it's not supposed to happen this lifetime. Maybe they get to decide, and they always get to decide. And so maybe you're meant to be a friend. Maybe you're meant to be a stranger. Maybe you're meant to be a lifetime lover. We don't know. There's not a way to know for sure how this is going to unfold. You got to just let go and find a way to maybe be okay with all of those. And that can be a challenge to move into unconditional love from that perspective, but you can do it. For some of you in this soul connection, if you're in this type of connection and you're thinking about the person, you don't really understand what's going on. Why do I think about this person all the time? Why can't I let this go? Why are they in my dreams? Why can't I sleep? Why can't I think straight? And I'm trying really hard. Which side of the spectrum are you on? That means you're probably not the chaser, right? You're on this other side where you're maybe trying to avoid your feelings, or you're not really sure what's going on. There's confusion. If you're having that, ask yourself if it's the guidance that we talked about before. Is this the gentle urging of like this person coming into your mind over and over and over and over again? And you're having a hard time sleeping because you keep thinking about it. I mean, that's not you trying to make yourself think about it. That's likely guidance, right? You're supposed to reach out. So try to discern that. Is this your mind going crazy and spinning? Or is this something where you're supposed to reach out and you're resisting it because you've been hurt? Because you don't really understand what this is, because you wanted to focus on something else for a while. Well, guess what? If this is guidance, it's not going to stop. It's going to grow more intense. So I guess that's how you'll find out. Bottom line, trust divine timing, trust the divine to bring it to you. And if you're the chaser and you let go and you move away, you start focusing on yourself, move away neutrally and through the energy of unconditional love as best you can. Turn the focus on yourself, work on your life path. Whatever has come up for you in this connection, work on healing that, and do your best to trust the divine. Easier to say that than to do it, but you can do it. Trust the divine timing. It will come together. It's supposed to. You are not going to be allowed to have a situation come in at this point in your life and your spiritual path that is going to be harmful to you, that is not going to be guided. So you can also look at it like that. If this is not coming together, it's just not guided. Something else will show up that is. Okay. Do your best to trust that. Next, I want to talk about patience. So for almost all of you that are listening, for almost all of us, just in general, the message is going to be more patience. We often are just not having enough patience, especially in this day and age with the way that everything is so rapid and we're getting everything so fast. We learn to not be patient because everything is so immediate in this world. So we have to learn to be patient, and just what we were just talking about, trusting in divine timing. That takes a lot of trust, yes, but patience as well, because we don't know when that's going to come. And sometimes it might take some time. But I want to talk about, when does patience have its time limit and what does that look like? Okay, so for most of us, again, I want to reiterate, it's going to be a message for more patience, but there are times, a very small percentage of you, maybe only in a certain context, and again, it's not going to apply to a lot of you, but you know who you are if this applies. I have an example to give you to talk about this. So I have these thistles at my house, and it's this whole bed near my house that is just filled with thistles, and it has been filled with thistles for 4 years. Okay. I have tried everything to get the thistles to be gone, and nothing has worked yet. There has been it's been almost 4 years. There has been weeding of the thistles, pulling them out as best you can from the roots, multiple times. Okay, let's put some vinegar weed killer on it. So it's like some sort of concoction that's natural but very effective weed killer. It works as well as the others. Done that a couple of times. There's been weed whacking and then the vinegar. There's been someone else do it. Maybe it's not me. Maybe somebody else needs to do it. And that wasn't effective either. There has also been covering it up. I think there was a covering it up time as well. Mowing it, anything you can think of, really. to work with the thistles. And the other thing I did was what we've talked about before, highest wisdom. Why are the thistles here? What does this mean? What's this about? So I have some shamanic wisdom that I have gained along the way, and some natural tendencies where I can have certain shamanic types of experiences as well, just part of who I am. And so along with that, I was like, okay, in the shamanic tradition, this is here for a reason. Plants grow because it's something that you need. So there is a belief in some of the lineages that the things that you need physically, like for supplements and to heal your body and so on, and maybe even just energetically as well, those will actually show up at your home. So this might have applied a lot more, right, in the older days where we lived, more in the country and in villages and so on and so forth, but it still can apply now, most of the time, as long as you're not like living in an apartment complex, right? But you can still have other types of experiences even then. So I'm looking at that. Okay, milk thistle. I need milk thistle. I get it. I got the message. I'm taking the milk thistle. That resonates. That makes sense. Thank you. We're doing it. And still they continue, right? Okay, well, so protection, maybe I was doing a little too much protection for a length of time. Understand that lesson. This was several years ago. Okay, understand that lesson. Oh, maybe more protection in a different way. Okay, we'll do that. Understand that. Oh, it's kind of a good thing. It's showing that you are protected. Okay, thank you. I get that. So no matter what highest wisdom I have taken from that, they still continue. And at this point, they're spreading into the yard. They're hurting my son. It's becoming a real problem. So after 4 years of really, if you heard all the different examples I just gave, I was doing bending over backwards to try to figure out all of the different wisdoms. Let's approach it differently. Let's do that. Let's do this. How can I? Way too much energy I exerted. So I'm done. Okay. I'm done with it. We're not doing this anymore. What did I do? I got a flamethrower. That's right. I ordered a flamethrower. And so I got this flamethrower, and I haven't done it yet, but I just ordered it, and I'm burning it to the ground because I've taken the highest wisdom for over the course of 4 years. I've done enough. And so now I'm burning it to the ground, and I'm going to build something beautiful on its ashes. So I'm using this example to ask you, maybe you're doing this in a relationship. Maybe you're doing this like in your work or something else. Like, are you like looking for all these solutions? Have you already gotten the highest wisdom in a lot of different ways, and you've been extremely patient for a lot of years and tried everything you can possibly imagine? Maybe it's time to be done. Maybe it's time to burn it to the ground and use it in a way that you are appreciative. You're still using its ashes to build something beautiful and new upon. Right? So you're using it as fertilization. That's still a beautiful thing, but it's time to be done maybe and build something new. So for whoever that resonates with, amazing, you'll know it. And I'm with you. Good luck with that. And maybe I'll share a video of me using my flamethrower on the thistle. We talked earlier about shortcuts, and I want to say that the shortest shortcut, aside from taking the lesson, the wisdom, highest wisdom, the shortest shortcut is going to be spending time with other high frequency people, or even realized enlightened people, right? In a very high frequency environment. That's something that groups like Kriya Yoga, Kriya Meditation can do. I'm also guided to start a new group, Profound Healing, and it's going to be a similar thing where we're sitting in a very, very high frequency. And what that does is it purifies and it creates this really strong foundation of any of those ego things, the patterns that went purify. And then from there, because you're going to this highest frequency, and then other things start to take care of themselves, they start to naturally purify. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have to do some things and use some awareness and working on yourself as well, but it's going to make it a lot easier. And some things are just going to shed really easily and really rapidly because you're in such a high frequency. Okay, last piece I want to talk about. Utilizing your pain and suffering to shine even brighter. So a lot of times when we're having emotions, when we're having pain and suffering, it's really easy to just get exhausted. Okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. You just kind of fall down and you're laying there and you're just not wanting to get up. I want you to think about, how can I use this pain that I'm feeling and the suffering that I've gone through as fuel to fight the right battle? So we're talking again about the warrior energy. So what battle are you fighting, right? Are you fighting the right battle? Are you fighting against yourself? Are you, the story we gave before about somebody that is having guidance and they're ignoring it and they're uncomfortable about the idea because they're against something. That's not really the right battle. Are you trying to fight against your own nature? Are you fighting against what life is trying to bring you? Like, are you fighting against your emotions? Those are not the right battles to be fighting. What are the right battles to be fighting? Well, that would be the battle of discipline and moving forward with what you came here to do and remembering what that is. That's the right battle to be fighting. To keep on the path, to not allow distractions to deter you, especially if you're tired and you don't really want to do this anymore. Let's talk about it in the context of lifetime after lifetime. Let's say that you've lived. If you have that belief, you have other soul experience. We all have soul experiences at least. But if you believe in lifetimes, maybe you've come here lifetime after lifetime and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do another lifetime where I forget everything and I have to try to remember everything and then and then I have to do it all over again the next time. And so if you're in that place where you're like, I just don't want to keep doing this, then guess what? Use that pain and that frustration and suffering as fuel to get on the path towards enlightenment or realization, because that's how to get out of it. If you believe in lifetime after lifetime, the way out is through realization and enlightenment, and really bringing all of your soul's wisdom into this time and space right now and doing it all now. And then you'll get to decide if you want to come back. Maybe you won't have to come back. Regardless if you believe in past soul experiences or past lives, the point is, do it all now. Harness all of your power and all of the authenticity of who you are. Remember what you came here to do and start moving forward with it. So that's where you need to put your armor on, get your warrior sword, and you fight to stay on that, and you keep on that. First comes a surrender. Surrender about all of the emotions and all of the egoic things that you might be interested in, all the resistance. Let go of all of that. And then is when you stand up, you stand tall, you put your armor on, and you get ready to do whatever you need to do. Go to battle with the right fight, which is to stay focused on the path to what you came here to do. No distractions on it. You came here to do something. And you know what else? Some of you, especially those in soul connections, you're going to be doing it together. So if you're resisting that, stop. You're supposed to do this with your person. Some people, it's going to be both. There's going to be a solo mission and there's going to be a mission with a partner. But you need to really focus on what is it that I came here to say a prayer about it. Show me what I came here to do. It might not be just one. That's what you're here to do. You got to do it. If you're suffering, you're either in your wounds, your patterns, or you're not on the path to do what you came here to do. You're not remembering. So I want you to remember, pray, meditate, remember what you came here to do. You are so powerful. You have all the wisdom already and all the knowledge, everything that you need to do what you came here to do. It's all available to you, and you can do this. Remember, stand tall, be strong, do what you came here to do. We're all behind you. We all love you. We all are in this together. On that note, that wraps up episode 8. And I have so enjoyed connecting with you today. And I will so look forward to the next time. Bye for now.